Hi everybody, this is Mr. B, Hayfield Secondary School. I'm the middle school engineering teacher. This video is going to walk you through the process of building a water bottle rocket that looks like this. I'm going to try to keep the video short and move along very quickly. We are at the end of the year. I'm making this video specifically for end of the year, and also we have a new kit, so I'm moving through pretty quickly. It's going to be a demo video, so I'm going to be flipping the camera down and so you can see what I'm doing down here, okay? The first thing that we're going to do is going to work on the fins of the rocket, this part right here, all right? Now you're going to have, this is the kit that we are using. Let me turn it around so you guys can see it. And you're going to need a hot glue gun, you're going to need the bottle, you're going to need these fin blanks, you will need something to write with, a pencil is fine. You're going to need a pair of scissors. There's some other things you're going to need in a minute, but as far as the basic materials, you need the kit, you need your fin blanks, you need a bottle, something to write with, and you will need a hot glue gun. Always set it on low. We use cool melt glue, and it works much better on low. On high, it will actually destroy your bottle. So here's the kit. Now we don't need everything in this kit. First of all, we don't need the instructions. They're not bad instructions, but I am building this rocket a little bit differently, and so we are going to set that aside and just use the video. The other thing that we don't need is part of the rocket is this transition cone right here. It makes the transition between this skinny little body tube and the big bottle to make it aerodynamic, and there are two of them in here, depending on whether we're using a 2-liter bottle or whether we are using this smaller 20-ounce bottle. We are using the 20-ounce bottle, and it says right here 16 and 20 ounce. So we're using this. We don't need this one. We can set that aside. All right. And since I already made the fin blanks for you, this is the fin material. I want this back so I can make some more fin blanks for you guys. So you just need 3 of these. These are already cut. I cut them to save you some time, and that is the material we use to make these fins. So that's it. Keep everything in your bag here and use it as you need it. Oh, there's one more thing we don't need. We don't need 2 of these little yellow cups. We use this one for the nose cone holder, and their instructions tell you to use the other one down here to attach the tube of the rocket. We don't do that. We attach directly to the bottle here, and so we don't need this. So give this back to me too. So there we go. All right. So this is really all you need. Hang on to this and everything else. Keep things in your bag so you don't lose them. There are a couple of small items in here that I'll be showing you now. There is a little piece of string. Don't lose that string. That's what holds our ping pong ball nose cone to the rest of the rocket. You need that. And there is a small piece of sandpaper in this kit as well, right here. You're going to need that in just a minute. So kind of keep everything in your bag here so you don't have to worry about it. Let's work on designing our fins. There's lots of different fins you can do. I've pre-cut these to give you an idea about how big your fin should be. You certainly don't want a rectangular fin. You want something more aerodynamic like that. My personal favorite is just a simple right triangle. And so this was a piece of fin material. I just drew a line corner to corner and cut it with the scissors. And so the reason I like this, it's a very good fin. It's very aerodynamic. It gives you good directional stability, and it's really fast. So I have 2 fins done just by cutting one of these blanks, and so I cut 2 of these blanks and I end up with 4 fins. I only need 3 fins, so I'm going to keep these, and I'll give one of these to my neighbor, and then they only have to make, if they're using the same one, they only have to make 1. So highly recommend those. Put everything else to the side. If you're not going to use a material and it's still usable, I want it back. Okay, here we go. So those are our fins. I just used I used a fin blank, cut it diagonally. Here we go. Now, let's talk about this jig that we're going to use. We're going to use this a lot, all right? And this is really going to help you. It ensures we put the fins on in the right locations. It has little signs for it right there. It also ensures that we put that long skinny body tube so it's attached perfectly straight on this rocket. Everything has to be in alignment and has to be perfectly straight. So how do we proceed? All right. So first of all, we're going to take our 20-ounce bottle and we put this pump on it. And we want to pressurize the bottle because see how soft it is? It's an empty bottle, it's very soft. And we're going to be drawing lines on here and we're going to be scratching those lines to create a surface that the glue will bond to. And we can't do it with a bottle that's not pressurized. So we just pump this up. It's actually called a soda saver. You can use it at home to keep your soda from going flat so quickly. Doesn't take long. And students are asking me, Mr. B, is this hard enough? Well, it should feel like an inflated bike tire. You know what your tires are supposed to feel like before you ride. So there we go. Pumped up, ready to go. We slip it in to the end of this jig. Notice this pump section is sticking out of the jig. And these fins on the jig tell us where to paint, where to draw our lines. Now there might be a little extra glue there. This is where you are going to need a Sharpie. This is really the only time you're going to need a Sharpie. I'm going to draw lines, and I want to go all the way up and down this bottle. I'm going to turn the jig. I'm going to draw another line. You want it to be nice and dark. I think this Sharpie is, it's not working very well. I think I have another one. We'll just go with it. I don't have another one handy. And all three sides, okay? Did that make a mark at all? No. Pause the video. Okay, I'm back. I got a working Sharpie. So let's do that again. Just mark these lines top to bottom. There, we're getting a mark now. A little bit of glue in my way. It's not a big deal. And you can even see it tells you what side to mark it on, okay? Just on one side where it says fin this side. If this sticker has come off on some of the jigs, it may have. Just use the same side of all of your dividers here, okay? And I pull this out. Notice I have a black line. That squiggle mark, I'm not sure how I did that, is where our fins are going to go. Now, we have to scratch up the plastic there, because if we put hot glue right on here, this is how we're going to attach the fins. Hot glue doesn't stick very well to smooth surfaces. So I'm going to take the sandpaper here and I'm just going to scratch the line. That's it. I'm done. I just want it scratched, and when you feel it, you'll feel the bottle's very smooth, and where the glue is going to go, it's very coarse. I'm not sanding, and I'm not sanding the whole bottle. I'm only sanding on these marks. And you just really only have to go up and down a couple of times. I'm going to rough it up. Now, there's one thing I want you to do right now. We constantly have students putting their fins on their rockets upside down. This is right side up now. This is no longer a drinking bottle. This is a rocket engine. So the nozzle of the rocket engine is at the bottom. In order to help remind you that this is the top of the bottle, point some arrows. That's the way the bottle's going to be flying. That's the way the rocket's going to be flying, okay? Or you can even, I have seen students write the word top up here, okay? So you don't build your rocket upside down, okay? So I have the lines on here. I have it marked with arrows and the word top. I'm ready to glue my fins on. Now, you can glue these on a couple different ways. I just prefer to glue them on just like a right triangle. And notice I'm putting them near the bottom of the bottle, not up here, okay? And I'm certainly not going to put them on upside down. That would be upside down. I want them like that, nice and aerodynamic with the angle pointing down. I'm going to take some glue. I'm going to put a pretty good bead of glue on the edge that I'm going to glue to the bottle. And you see it's a fair amount of glue there. And I'm going to hold it right on that line. Make sure it's lined up right on that line. and I'm going to hold it with pressure. I'm pushing it down. And you want to be a little bit patient here. You want to wait about a minute. And I'm pushing it, and it should be straight up and down. It shouldn't be tilted over to one side or the other. Now, it's attached enough to where it should stay there, and I can move on to these other fins. But, of course, that glue is not 100% cooled off. We need to give it some cooling time so we don't knock the fins off while that glue is cooling. And I'm putting more glue on here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. See all that glue on there? I'm going to line it up with that black mark that I scratched, and I want it to be even with the other fin, right on that line. Now I'm pressing it down. I'm making sure it's right on the line and it's sticking straight up. It's not laying over to one side or the other. All right, I can let go of that. It's not 100% cool. See how the glue is still clear here? That means it hasn't cooled off all the way, and this isn't really set up. Over here you can see the glue is, the first one we did, is starting to get foggy again. That means it's cooling off, but it's not 100% cooled off yet. And now I'm going to take the last fin, same thing, and I'm going to put that on there, even with the other one, straight on the line. Make sure it's lined up, and I'm pressing down. Oop, come on, there we go. I'm going to hold it in place, put pressure on it, 30 seconds or so, but patience is a good skill at this point. And there we go, we're done putting our fins on. So we're going to pause just a minute to let that glue cool off a little bit so I know my fins are really well attached. Leave the bottle pressurized. Do not take this off until I tell you to. Okay, leave it just like that. Quick break. Okay, this is cooled off pretty well, but I've decided to go ahead and do my transition cone to give this even more cooling time. And all we're going to do is we are going to cut out this shape. We're going to cut out the outer part of it. Now they gave you a fin pattern, ignore that, we're not using that. I'm going to cut out on the outer part of this shape, okay? I'm not cutting that dotted line, that's part of the cone, on the outer part. So I'm going to cut that out very carefully. You want to be really precise. And I am going to pause the video. Okay, I'm back. I've cut that out. Now we have to roll this thing up into a cone shape, just like an ice cream cone shape, all right? And the way it needs to be a certain size, so this diameter has to match the diameter of this body tube right here. And we do that by when we roll this up, see that dotted line right there? Okay? That dotted line is going to match up with this other edge. And so I'm going to line it up just like that, exactly on the edge. It can't be kinda on the edge, can't be like that, it cannot be like this. It has to be right on that line. And I'm going to line it up right on the line, on the top and the bottom. And I don't know if you can see that line is right there, okay? And this is a good time maybe to get somebody to help you. But I take a small piece of masking tape. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, you're going to need a masking tape. And I press it down right on where those two pieces overlap. I tuck the extra into the top there, and then I put another piece down here. And it's okay if the tape overlaps, but you just really want to make sure top to bottom on that seam where the two overlap. And I tuck the extra inside. And now I'm holding it between my fingers like so, and I'm really pressing this down hard. Okay? And now I have my cone. I can set this aside. I'm not ready for this yet, but pretty soon I will be. Now I know my fins have cooled off quite a bit. The bottle is still pressurized. Let me move the rocket away. Move my scraps away. Don't need that anymore. Okay, now we're back to the jig. What the jig is going to allow us to do, this is very helpful, we're going to slide the bottle in our jig. And it's very important that you leave a gap right here, about an inch gap. You should easily be able to stick your finger in there. And there's a little screw right there, a little offset screw, reminding you that you need a gap. Don't set it in there like that. We got to get a bunch of glue in there. And do not glue this bottle to the jig, okay? That happens every once in a while, and that's not what we want. So make sure there's that gap. There's that screw reminding you how big that gap should be. Now, go to your kit and get out your body tube. Ooh, almost busted one of my fins. And the body tube goes into this hole at the end of the jig. Back up. And it's a very perfect fit, so don't just try to push it straight in. You kind of have to twist it in, back and forth, back and forth. If you just try to push it straight in, you'll probably mess the tube up. Okay? Now, notice I have that gap right there, and the tube is touching the bottle. It actually has to make contact with the bottle. Okay? Now I'm going to take my glue gun, and this is the easiest and best way to glue these two together. You want to hold the jig here at a bit of an angle. Okay? You can't find the best view. There we go. That's a better view for you guys. And you squirt the glue on the bottom of the tube, holding the rocket up at an angle, almost like it's flying. And what happens is the glue hits the cardboard tube and runs down to the bottle. You don't want to hold it like that. The glue would run the wrong direction. It needs to hold like that, uphill. And then I go to the other side, and I'm squirting glue onto the tube. And it's quite a bit of glue. About 3 or 4 good pumps on this thing. And then I go around to the other last side, and the same thing. I squirt pretty copious amount of glue on here. I'm holding the rocket as if it is flying up at an angle. You'll see the glue will just flow right down onto the bottle, and we have a really good bond between the tube and the bottle, but it is very hot, and it's going to stay hot for a long time. A minimum of 5 minutes, and we have to let that completely cool. Okay? So I'm going to set this to the side, set it in a safe place. Don't try to just stand it up. Set it in a safe place, and you're going to leave it alone for about 5 minutes. Okay? Don't rush it, because if you try to take it out of that jig before that glue is 100% cooled off, you'll probably pull the tube off the bottle, and then you got a big mess. Okay? So we're going to pause right here for a second, and we'll be right back. Okay, while my tube is cooling off, I'm going to go ahead and work on the last thing that we need to do, and you're just about done with your rocket, is we need to build this nose cone. Okay? And the way this works is when the rocket flies up and up and up and up, and eventually it stops, it tips over like so, the ping pong ball falls out. It creates a lot of drag, and it causes the rocket to fall back to Earth very, very slowly. So this ping pong ball has to be connected to this nose cone cup with this little string. So I've taken out of my kit, I've taken the ping pong ball. Let me tilt this down, sorry. I've taken the ping pong ball, I've taken the yellow cup, and here's that little piece of string. Now this can be a little frustrating for people, but if you want to do it exactly the way it should be done, you're going to feed the thread through the hole in the bottom of that cup all the way through until you just have a little bit sticking out. And I'm feeding it through, and you're feeding it through from the bottom, okay? Now I've just got a little bit sticking out, and that's fine. That's what we want. I'm just going to hold that string right there, and I'm going to put a small amount of glue right there to hold that string and keep it from coming out. Okay? And while that is cooling off, we can go ahead and attach the ping pong ball. Now here's a little trick I learned accidentally. The ping pong ball likes to roll all over the workbench. And if you just set it down as you're trying to glue the end of this string to the ping pong ball, it just rolls all over the place. And I learned, just kind of came across it, put the ping pong ball in the handle of the scissors and it doesn't roll around. Now I'm going to take the other end of this string, put it on the ping pong ball, and it does help to put, kind of hold it right there. And I'm just going to put a dab of glue. Do not put a ton of glue. That's it. And that might even be a little too much. Can you see that? Don't start putting glue all over your ping pong ball. And that happens when people don't put it in the scissors and the ping pong ball is rolling around and they're kind of chasing the ping pong ball with the glue. Put it in there and let it cool off really, really well. Guess what? We're done building the rocket. We just have to assemble it. We'll be right back after this glue dries. Okay, we're back. We're doing the very last, we're just going to do assembly on our rocket now, all right? There's the ping pong ball. Notice the glue has started to get cloudy. That means it's cooled off quite a bit. If it's still clear, it's still cooling off. Now, how do we get this thing out of here? This was a very, very snug fit. We do not grab this and pull it out. Absolutely do not. Now, this is a good time to depressurize the rocket. So you're going to just take that off. You heard a little hiss from the air pressure in there. Makes it a little bit easier to get the bottle out. Do not pull the bottle. I repeat, do not pull the bottle. You just turn it upside down like this. I hope you all can see that. And you're just going to push straight down on the jig. And notice that the rocket just comes right out. And for the last little part right here, the last little part of the tube, you can kind of use your thumb to get the last little parts out. Grab the tube. It's okay to pull on the tube, but never pull on the bottle. And I've pulled it out all the way, okay? Didn't damage that glue. See all that glue up there? It's a lot of glue. But we need a lot because this needs to be a really strong joint. If you have a bunch of extra sticking off like that, like I do, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and kind of snip it. Don't cut the bottle. If you cut the bottle, it won't hold pressure. It won't fly anywhere. Okay? It's okay if it's a little bit ugly. Now, here we go. We're going to build our rocket, or assemble our rocket, I should say. All right? All we do, the fins are already on. Nothing more to do there. We take the transition cone. We slip it right on here. We take the nose cone cup and we put it in the end of the rocket, and we set our nose cone, little glue web there, glue thread, come on, let go. And I do want to, when I launch, I'm going to make sure this string is tucked into that cup, and we just set the ping pong ball right on top. And there you go, you have a finished rocket. It is ready to go. And then we're going to paint them because they look really cool painted. Painting doesn't affect the flight at all. It might improve the drag a little bit. I don't have any scientific data to say that that's the case or not, but they look better, and kids really like spray painting stuff, okay? So here you are. We went from a bag of parts to a finished rocket in about 20 minutes, okay? And it'll take you longer because I did pause a couple of times, but there you go. We can build this rocket in one class, all right? So that's it for the video, and I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the shop.